All right, we turn now to Capitol Hill, where Dr. Anthony Fauci is invoking his Fifth Amendment right during a hearing on the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic. Dr. Fauci served as the chief medical advisor to both President Trump and President Biden during the COVID-19 pandemic. And today, he's so far refusing to answer questions from the Senate Homeland Security Committee about his handling of the pandemic and his alleged ties to the lab in Wuhan, where one theory is that the pandemic and the virus originated. Here are some of the highlights.
My decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
Let's now bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns. Caitlin, so what's happened in the hearing so far since we last checked in with you, and what's been happening in the hallways outside? Because I know sometimes a lot of the action is out there.
That's right, Adriana. A lot of commotion outside of here. We've kind of been going back and forth into the hearing. And as you mentioned, Dr. Fauci has exerted his Fifth Amendment right in these proceedings. He started with his opening statement saying that he was going to do so because, in his words, Senator Paul, the chairman of this committee, has, quote, an unhinged obsession, in his words, with Dr. Fauci and wants to see him prosecuted. That's how Dr. Fauci explained his reasoning for choosing, under the advice of his lawyers, to invoke his Fifth Amendment right. But guys, there was an intense moment in this hearing, something I haven't seen before, where Fauci's lawyer, his attorney, tried to speak during the proceedings, and the chairman of the committee, Senator Paul, asked him to be removed. Take a listen to how that all went down.
In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered, for a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room.
So afterwards, his attorney came out of the hearing, and we were following him down the hallway to see what he was trying to say there. And he said that he was trying to say that his client, Dr. Fauci, had a legitimate reason and a right to invoke the Fifth Amendment. So that's what he says he was trying to say. He was kicked out of the hearing room for trying to do so. And again, just kind of adds to the intensity of this hearing. Also important context here, Dr. Fauci was given a preemptive blanket pardon by then President Biden as he was leaving office. The theory around that was, at the time, that they were concerned, Biden was, that the Trump administration would try to prosecute Fauci. So Senator Paul has said over the past couple of days that he believes that pardon does not apply to anything that Dr. Fauci would say in this hearing room, because he is alleging that Fauci is misleading Congress, that he has lied to Congress. So in order to preempt any of that, Fauci said, under the advice of his lawyers, he would invoke the Fifth. Now, he is repeating that through all questioning here today. And we just spoke to Senator Ron Johnson, who's a Republican on this committee. He told us just moments ago that he thinks the committee should subpoena Fauci again, either to come again before Congress or to provide testimony in another kind of setting. So we will stay tuned for that. But the question is what this Congress can do moving forward when it comes to Fauci's testimony.
And really at the crux of all this is Fauci's connection to this lab in Wuhan, China. Thank you so much, Caitlin. And whether or not, well, we know that the NIH provided some funding to that lab, but apparently Fauci denied that there was funding provided because there is some disagreement over the definition of gain of function research, where basically scientists create some kind of virus or disease.
They supercharge a virus so that they can figure out what the worst case scenario would be if that virus were to mutate into this sort of mutant virus. But then the danger, of course, is that that virus is somehow gets out
Exactly.
and infects people. So let's bring in CBS News contributor Jessica Levinson. She's a lawyer, and so she will be able to help us understand exactly what we were watching there. So I guess the big headline, of course, because it's good TV, is going to be Dr. Fauci's lawyer getting kicked out of that hearing room. Should he, I guess, Senator Paul was saying that he knew the rules. He wasn't even asked to be at the table. He was not recognized to speak. Should he have not known that? And what was he trying to do?
What was the lawyer trying to do? You mean, I think the lawyer was trying to say this is why Dr. Fauci is invoking his Fifth Amendment privilege. In terms of, obviously, that was a dramatic moment. I think the basic rule when it comes to could he be kicked out of the Senate hearing is that that's the Senate's house. If I invite you over and I have you for dinner, I can say, if you do X, you need to leave my property. Now, of course, this is a public place. It's a so-called public forum, and there are different rules that come along with it. But I think that that will essentially be Senator Paul's argument here. Now, when it comes to what the attorney was supposed to do, I think, for lack of a better way of describing it, provide backup for Dr. Fauci, say this is why he's invoking his constitutional rights.
Yeah, it was quite a scene. I will say Senator Paul did warn the lawyer about if he said any more, and he did, and so he got kicked out. But it was wild to watch. He really admonished him like kids. No, truly. He said, you will sit down and be quiet, something along those lines. But Jessica, I'm still kind of confused about the presidential pardon. If this preemptive pardon was given to Dr. Fauci, why could he potentially be prosecuted now?
So that's a great question. And the answer is, I think what we see here is the matchup between two constitutional rights. So the president has the right to say, I'm giving you a pardon. And we know that it can be a broad pardon that looks towards the future. And individuals have the right to say, I'm invoking my right against self-incrimination. And so what's happening here, I think in part, is that the pardon power is, of course, confined to federal crimes only. And what Dr. Fauci would argue is that he's up there and he's being interrogated, and it's not for a legitimate legislative purpose. And he's potentially exposed to state crimes, that there are state DAs who are watching, and they're thinking, oh, well, he just said X or he just said Y. I think there's a crime there. And so I think that's the basis of what's happening, is that the president obviously has power over federal crimes. If he wanted a pardon from a state crime, he would have to go to a governor.
And very quickly, Jessica, are there any repercussions? Senator Rand Paul is saying that there could be repercussions for invoking your constitutional right. What could that possibly be?
So generally speaking, we want to be very careful about I'm invoking my right to free speech, to, again, here, self-incrimination, and there will be repercussions for that. I know you said very quickly, the only thing I can think of here is that the senators are saying, respond to these questions. Dr. Fauci is saying no, because I'm invoking my right against self-incrimination. And the response could be, but you need to answer because you do have this blanket immunity.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Jessica Levinson, always great to have you, friend. Thank you.